Let's do getting everything set up here. We're going to be talking about some pretty outlandish stuff today. Let me change this one to Warzone. That way we can get into a different group of people. Yeah, Warzone's a good name. So welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for choosing This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I am your host, Sander. And today we are going to be talking about some pretty off-the-wall stuff. Now, I know y'all heard about it a while back. I put it in a lineup, so I couldn't really do breaking news on this one since I put it in a lineup, and it just I had so many things that I was adding to the lineup to the fact that it couldn't be done right away. But we really wanted to talk about it right away. So before we get started, I want to make sure that you guys know to like and subscribe. Make sure that you join the membership. Know that if you join a membership, depending on the tier of the membership that you join, you'll be able to receive different discounts for our This and That merchandise. We also have affiliate merchandise on all of our stuff. Keep an eye out for that stuff. If you join the subscription, for those of you that are on TikTok, you see it on the bottom right hand side. There is a link for you guys to click. It'll take you straight on over to YouTube, where you can subscribe to the channel. While you're there, you can see the merchandise store. Twitter and Twitch, you guys have merchandise stores that you can see in the events section and in the bio. Take a look at these things. For those of you on YouTube, you can see going across the bottom of the screen, I do believe on the left side, where you see the affiliate merchandise being promoted there. You guys can take a look at what we are recommending on a daily basis. It's always something different, or at least for the most part, it's something different. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the show is live 7 days a week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. So I encourage you guys to come every day and take a look at what we got to talk about. You can always jump in and put your 2 cents in. For the rest of you guys, you are on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. We have this link that goes into the comment section. And if you guys want to dive into the show and put your 2 cents in on the topic, you can click that link, approve the mic, approve the camera. It'll bring you into the show on the left side. And for you guys on the right side, I really appreciate you guys for coming in. Thank you so much. On TikTok side, we have, let me start it up where you guys have access to it. If you request to join in, request an invite, you guys will be able to jump into the show and speak your piece in person live on the air. Where the other 5 or 6 other platforms are all linked together, you'll be able to hear and see each other. Well, most of you, because I still have to integrate this with that one, because I know you see the picture in picture. The picture in picture is because the other picture is the other stream. So just note that, I'm working on it, trying to get everybody in the same place at the same time. But until we get there, I'm going to wing it. It's what I do. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get things going. With the topic today, we're talking about the extreme punishments that are primarily for men, but apparently women can get it too. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but last month, towards the end of last month, Louisiana government officials had passed a law that is allowing them to castrate their offenders, their registry. So those people who have been accused of and convicted of or pled guilty with no contest to any activities that would lead them to be on an offender registry list are now subject to getting all of their genitalia just chopped up and mutilated. And I asked myself, whose idea was that? They're not naming names specifically, but the female politicians that were involved in the decision had decided that it would be better to castrate the guys. And it's just, when I heard it, I'm like, all right. So first thing you said was cut his dick off. And it's like, that doesn't solve anything. But the result is that allegedly that this particular form of corporal punishment that is supposed to occur after your sentence has been served, not before, not in lieu of. So whatever fines and whatever jail time that you're going to serve or suspension of jail time and probation that you're going to serve for this offense, after you have served your time, you then get your junk chopped off as a FU on the way out the door. I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna say that that's really extreme. And see, the concern that I have about that is that they're gonna say, well, we're gonna cut off their genitalia because they're not going to be able to hurt anybody else if they don't have their reproductive organs. You're not making them a unit, so you're just literally taking out their testicles, and for the women, their ovaries, and that's not actually going to stop them from being able to have an erection. It's just going to cause them to shoot blanks. So my question is, why are you taking his junk? You're going to stop him from reproducing, which means that he's not going to have a lineage where you would presumably assume that this type of mentality is hereditary. He's not gonna be allowed to reproduce because he got put on a registry. But the thing is that it's not gonna stop them from doing it again. It's just that, like, there's nothing else you can do to them. And these particular people who literally did do egregious acts, not just the ones that were in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong age limit, just those people who deliberately went out there and did that, those people are not going to be the ones that's going to say, oh, you took my manhood, haha, whatever. Those guys are going to, they escalate from like minor offenses to like mass revenge style massacres. Like, I don't feel comfortable with that particular type of decision being put out there. Like, if you let him back into normal society, just because you took his manhood, does that really stop him from being the type of offender that he got convicted of the first time? How many of these people are even a repeat offender? Like, that was one of the things that I was wondering. Like, in Louisiana, we got a lot of crime in Louisiana, but mostly it's loss of life. It's not really this type of crime. Now, yeah, across the globe, there is offenses like this. That's why NCIS has so many. The Special Victims Unit, they have like 40 seasons because there's so much of this around that they can literally make daily episodes based off of true stories, because this stuff does happen. But like, really, like, don't you think cash racing is a little bit much? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all tell me what y'all think. Feel free to throw it into the comment section, or hit the invite, or click the link, dive in, tell me what you think about it. Some people might say, oh yeah, they get what they deserve. I'm like, so the justice system isn't just, and I can't say that it's always going to be fair. I'm not in favor of the people who break the laws and cause unnecessary or unjustifiable harm to other people, but I also understand that there are certain people that do accidentally get sucked into the legal system, even when they did not effectively commit that crime in a deliberate fashion in a negative way. And the fact is that when you start performing permanent actions like acting upon the death penalty and castrating humans, you're doing something that you can't undo. Because they're not talking about taking these people's sperm away and then putting them on ice and utilizing them in banks or anything like that. You're talking about like taking his junk and then putting it in the meat grinder kind of thing. I mean, that's not exactly what they said, but I'm like hypothesizing the fact that you're just literally going to destroy his manhood or her manhood and then fricassee it. Like, there isn't going to be like a bounce back off of that. So like, if you got the wrong person, like, the question is like, how do you fix that? Because like there's also those scenarios. Jay, that is a really long name. But there's also those scenarios like where those people get caught up. Like, for example, which is one of the reasons why, guys, we got to be very careful these days. We talk to women that are in their 20s. We got 16, 17, 18-year-olds that look like they're 21, 22, 23. You got to be really careful when you card these girls, because they got fake IDs. They got really good fake IDs. So the average civilian doesn't really know that it's a fake ID, but law enforcement knows when you're going to jail. So, you really got to be really, really careful. We got to start finding ways to test them to find out what their age really is. Like they've got to have old school knowledge, like 1996, 1985, 19, like really old knowledge in order for us to say, okay, you're old enough. Because I mean, like, look at what they're doing. If they're talking about junk off because you thought that she was 21 and she turns out to be like 18 or 17 and a half, just because she's like full figure doesn't mean that she's old enough. And then you catch a case. She was cheesing with you outside the club. She know the bartender or she know the bouncer, and for some reason they letting her inside the club without an ID. Like, bro, like this, guys, we can't even talk to females. Like these women be telling these females, like, real talk, bro, like, hey, let me see your ID. I need to see your driver's license. I need to see your driver's license. And then cross-reference that shit. Like literally, like take their and funny thing, now that I say it, for those of you that don't know, that there is, at least in most states, you can get online and check to see if your driver's license is still valid. Your local Department of Motor Vehicles has a website where if you go to that website and do driver's license check, you can put in your driver's license number and see if your driver's license is currently suspended or currently active or currently valid. Fellas, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes down to talking to these females and you're getting their ID, with all due disrespect, I'm going to tell you to take their ID from them, type their driver's license number into that app, and confirm that their driver's license is active right now. If it is a real driver's license, it will tell you whether or not their license is suspended or not, and it will tell you whether or not it's a valid driver's license number. If it is a valid driver's license number, if that driver's license says that she is 28, she is 28. But if it says that it is an invalid driver's license number, she might not be 28. She might more than likely be 17. And that should be the last part of your conversation. So since they're cutting dudes' junk off for talking to the wrong age, you need to make sure that you do a whole lot more background check on that cute girl at the bar, because just because she's inside of the bar doesn't mean that she's old enough to be in the bar. And any place that sells food and drink, you don't have to be 18 to buy food there, but you got to be 21 to drink there, which means you don't got to be 21 to get in the door. You just got to be 21 to go to the bar and order something that's alcoholic, which also means that in those types of establishments, you're probably more than likely going to end up finding people there that are not quite 21, that are going to be insisting upon you in the overly affectionate fashion to buy them drinks at the bar because they can't do it for themselves. And that will lead you to a night on the town, which will lead you to a night in jail, which will lead you to a future with no genitals. So I'm going to tell y'all right now, because Louisiana is cutting off dicks. So y'all already understand that if Louisiana is cutting them off, y'all already know that a lot of other states start following suit when they start taking action on that. And the worst thing that I'm sitting over here thinking about, because I know that some people don't care about other people, but I'm sitting over here thinking about the fact that what happens with that person who was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, or what happens if you were, say, 17 when you caught the charge because your girlfriend was 16. And y'all was in love and all this other stuff, and they mama just threw you under the bus, and you had to do what you had to do, and then after you finished doing your time and stuff, you done married the girl or whatever, and now they're coming back 20 years later saying everybody on the list is getting their junk cut off. So if you didn't already have some children, they're calling your ticket because you are a former offender. You're on the registry. They're going to come to your house like ATF and take your nuts with them. I'm trying to figure out, like, where do you draw the line? Are you talking about future offenders? Because they just said everybody on the registry after they serve their time get their junk cut off. So everybody who's already served their time, everybody who's about to get out, or are you talking about just people who go to jail from now on? Because everybody who already got their sentence, if you're going to double back, isn't that double jeopardy? You're about to double back and go and snatch their nuts as they didn't already did. They done paid their debt to the society. They done sat in jail. They done had their booty taken and everything that you can think about over this case already. And now you're going to say that you're going to follow up with them with their local drug tests or whatever you're going to do, your local house call, because they do house calls after you get put on the registry. And when they come up and say, hey, this time, it's time, I got to take your junk with me. I got to take your junk with me. I got to cut it off, put it in the UPX box and ship it to my boss. Make sure that he's got it. Got to check off the box. Your left one and your right one. And they're not just taking one. They're taking both of them. It's not like, well, we're going to take one this time and the next time you do it, we take the other one. Like they get a complete castration. If you get caught with this charge one time, they're going to under the bus. Like they through with you. Like that's where we at. So help me out, ladies and gentlemen, because I mean, I think that certain laws and certain rules are a little bit extreme. I feel like they are and I mean, I understand that justice has to be served at some point, but exactly how much can you do to a person? Because like take those people who are career criminals, those people who are repeat offenders. It doesn't matter whether it's a violent crime or a non-violent crime. Like if you've got 38 charges of that, you can't do it to them 38 times. Like you can only do it once. So you're gonna say you better make a stick the one time that you do get them. Like how many lives do you negatively impact? And then say, well, let's sentence them with the type of sentence that gets reparations for all 38 of those people. You can't do that. You can't do that. The justice system is about settling. It's out of the 38 counts, you might plead to 12 of them. And then you're going to do 80% of the time. And then some of the time it's going to be run consecutive, and the rest of it's going to be concurrent. Like Diddy got 31 years. It's like, how the hell you get an extra year? So you don't do those 20, you do 30, and then you do one from the other one. Like what? Most of it's going to be concurrent, but you're going to have some of it running consecutive. And concurrent means at the same time, and the rest of it's going to be consistent. So you're telling me that if you do enough crime, that they can't really get their justice worth out of you. And then depending on your age, you don't even have that much life left to be able to serve time. How are you going to get your debt to the society? They've been looking for you for 40 years. Now they found you, pulled you over, and now they about to throw you up underneath the jail cell. Come on, bro. You telling me that all this time is going to pass, and then they're going to come back around, they're going to start swooping folks up so that they can snatch they junk. Like, you ain't enough for me already, man. Like, it was an honest mistake in some situations. Some situations was deliberate. So I feel like those guys that were like kidnapping folks and doing them dirty the whole time they held them hostage. Yeah, those are the guys. Yeah, those are the ones you do that to. The ones that was like camped outside the middle school, camped outside the elementary school, and the children was coming up missing. Yeah, those are the ones I can see you doing that to. But I mean, you got Young Buck that's girlfriend was like a year or so younger than him, and it was just like their age difference that what put him under the jail. Like, I don't know, man. I think you might want to just like kind of rethink that one, right? Are there like limits to this shit? Because so far they're just saying that if you get put on the registry, they're just gonna cut you off. They're gonna. So if you put yourself on the list, like that's one of the lists you don't want to be on. But I mean, I would assume that if they got everybody on notice, it's not likely going to happen. But I assume that if they put everybody on notice, that the punishment for this type of action is that less people will commit the crime. That's what I would assume. I would assume that less people will perform that action. But you got to understand that in California, they told you that if you try to run up in Walmart, steal some stuff, the ATF, they got like SWAT out there. They got like assault rifles at the front door with greeters in Walmart. So they still up in there stealing. So just because you make the law extreme, I can't say that they're going to abide by the law. They're just going to try to find better ways to not get caught. Because how bad is the punishment if you can only go through the punishment one time? And then if you can only go through the punishment one time, you know, the question is, like, how much can you get away with before you get caught, since you know what the extreme is? It's just like if committing a certain quantity of crime is going to put you into the death penalty. Well, I mean, if you're going to die anyway, you're going to do way more crime, because once you get caught, your life is over. You might even be like poetic justice and just like, we going to die at the scene because we're going to die in the jail, and then go to the extremes we go to get caught, like street justice kind of stuff. And it doesn't make sense to be in these types of scenarios where like everything's on the table, but like the victims themselves are not going to benefit from this at all. Like, can you say that they're going to be able to sleep at night because you took the dude's junk? Like, are they going to feel safer now? Like, don't you think that like you're starting something that you can't really back up? Because how many of the victims are you really going to put into witness protection? Once those guys get out of jail, they done lost their manhood. I'm pretty sure they're going to make that up. Don't you? Like, I really feel like they're going to make that. I don't believe that a dude is going to, especially the ones that got set up. And I know that women are going to say, oh, nobody set somebody. No, yes. There are people that get set up. They talk to the wrong person thinking that this is going to be a good thing. And then they end up in a world of trouble, which is why I tell y'all, check them IDs, cross-check them with the Department of Motor Vehicles, make sure it's a valid identification card. And then once you confirm that it's valid, then you check the age. Don't even check the age until you check the validity. You want to walk up on that, hey, let me see your ID, and then you want to snip, take a photo of that stuff, and then you want to go ahead and cross-reference it and make sure that it's a legit driver's license. If it ain't legit, bro, it ain't shit. And you're not going to be sitting over here talking about some, oh, it's Gucci. You know, we ain't got to do all that. I'll be goddamn. I am not going to be in that situation. Because didn't I talk to Mr. Pibbs last week on Monday or Tuesday? We were talking about how like the age limits are lower in another country. Like you could go over there and guess what? Still be in the same position. You're just not going to get your nuts cut off, because out there, if you talking to them under, even if they are old enough to consent, if you didn't get a written document from the parents, they put you in jail for kidnapping. So you be talking to them and not realize that they not old enough because you didn't ask them in their native language and end up behind bars. So really and truly, if you're not paying attention to the age, if you're not paying attention to the behavior patterns, and you're slacking off because you're thinking that you're gonna get laid, even if the girl is loose, even if she's like throwing it out, even if she's selling it, for those of y'all that don't mind paying for it, it ain't tricking if you got it. Until she done tricked your ass and you thought that she was at least 18 and she turned out to be 15, 16, 17. And then you're going to be under the jail. And look, the way they doing it right now, bro, like you're going to be right next to Diddy. You're going to be right next to Diddy in line, getting ready to get yours cut off. But you're going to get yours before he get here because he got 30 plus 1 years. Michael Jackson didn't even have none. His was already cut. So they couldn't even do him nothing. But you know, y'all sitting over here thinking like, so here's a funny question, because Cosby did 10. Well, he did like 3.5. They gonna come and get him? Allegedly, he got a sentence reversed. I don't believe that, but allegedly he got a sentence reversed, according to Mr. Pibbs. And if that's the case, is he did he get put on the registry? And if he got put on the registry, did they take him off the registry? Like, can you be removed from the registry? Like, we don't actually look into these things. But like, is there a way for you to unregister yourself so that they don't take your junk? Like, how does that work? Because I know that when you register your firearm with ATF, once they know that it exists, like they will track it for the rest of the existence of that firearm. You can't change the serial number on the firearm or nothing. You can't do nothing. Speaking of firearms, they said something about a Glock switch is okay. I'm trying to figure out if a switch is okay. Because, I mean, if a Glock switch is okay, what if you don't like Glock? Can you put a switch on anything, or does it have to just specifically be a Glock? I could really use a switch. I don't necessarily have to have an extended banana clip, but I could really use a switch. I mean, I kind of would prefer accuracy over like full auto, but I mean, if I could get some burst fire, that'd be really good. I'm okay with burst fire. Rapid fire burst fire is full auto, or not full auto, but it's seemingly full auto. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to figure out like what y'all didn't do a poll. Y'all decided this on y'all own. Y'all, I'm not even gonna ask what person voted for this because ain't nobody knew that this was going down. The government did this by themselves. This is and this is some bitter, angry women kind of voting right here. This is I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This ain't some oh it's gonna benefit the next generation kind of shit because it's really not. It's really not. I don't know what the hell y'all think. Like why can murderers get a suspended sentence and get on probation and do community service and do the drug test? And robbers and stuff, like people can like get on parole. See what I'm saying? And not have like get your junk cut off. But they got just some stuff where they're on that level where if you do this particular dirt right here, like we gonna snip. And then I asked myself, like, not so much for the concern of the ex-con, but who gonna be doing this cutting? Is it the victim? Like, is it the like? Because I know that there's a guy that flips a switch for the death penalty. I know that there's a guy that flips a switch. So that guy, does he sleep at night knowing that he's burning all these people up? Like, how does he sleep at night? I know he's got to get therapy. But now if you're going to have another government agent that's going to be walking up there like Hannibal Lecter talking about some meatball soup, and they're just going to cut it up and put it into a bowl of soy sauce and talk about this going to be dinner. Like, how do you plan on, because there's going to be a long list, and a lot like taking your dog to the vet to get neutered. Like, how do you expect a few hundred Americans to stand in line and wait their turn to get their dick cut off? Like, how do y'all fathom executing this particular type of punishment? Is this like their release requirement? Like, you're not going to let them out of jail until they get their nuts chopped off? And then do they have a choice? Because if they got a choice, if I got a choice of continuing my sentence or you taking my manhood, I'm probably going to just go ahead and just do life. I might do life on a trustee program. They be like, what you in here for? I don't want freedom, bro. My nuts are important. I'm just trying to tell you, like, some people would really shake their head no to that shit. Like, I'm trying to figure out what other ways could you have found to administer reasonable disciplinary actions for? Because I mean, y'all seen the Human Centipede, so why are they not like doing stuff like that? Why you got to cut the man junk off? Like y'all talking about some I spit on your grave kind of stuff, where she gonna shove the shotgun up his behind and talk about some if you blink. Like, what? Dude trying to hold his eyes open. When I seen, like, and I had to watch that movie like 3 times just so that I could see how she elevated the dude over the tub, and he had to use all his core muscles to keep himself over the tub. And as soon as his stomach muscles gave out, he kind of dunked his head into the lime and the sulfuric acid and burned all his face off. I was like, yeah, that's the way to go. Between him and the other guy whose eyes was clipped back where he couldn't blink and the birds ate his eyes out, like that. That's something else. And then they going to pass this law and say all the people on the registry gonna get their junk cut off. I'm like, y'all watched that movie, didn't y'all? Y'all watched that movie. Like we gonna have to do a documentary. How does the U.S. take revenge on folks? Because like when they said that they went over there for the oil when they blew up the Twin Towers, but I mean y'all talking about something that is population control with this type of sentence. This ain't just justice. Like y'all talking about something we not even gonna have a homeless population when we done with these folks. Because do you know how many people is on that list? That list is long. That is not no short list. That list is long. Luckily, only the state of Louisiana is enforcing the law right now. Because you know, if a few dozen states take this stuff up, guess what? It's gonna be a nationwide expectation. Man, they gonna clean house. U.S. is gonna have almost no children. Yeah, we gonna be like Japan and them when talking about some can't nobody reproduce because they went nuts when it. They got used to it and started running around with the scissors and just start snipping everything on everybody. I don't understand why. I don't know, but I had to talk about that because I mean we got more strict laws in California. They talk about doubling fines for fireworks. You know they got a lot of laws out here right now. They're talking about laws for the fathers. They're talking about putting the women in jail for setting the men up on fraud for oh that's your baby until they're 18 and doing an organ donor situation and realize that wasn't their child kind of shit. Like all of that stuff that we used to have to try to say, oh no, you can get your reparations now. Like they got so many laws that came out 2024 and they're tough laws. They're tough laws. But you know, if they enforce them appropriately, they're supposed to benefit not the firework one, but the rest of them are supposed to benefit the nation. But the firework law in California, they're like, yo, like, did you see how many people lit fireworks this year? Like they showed you better they can tell you. It's like you catching me, you're gonna have to catch me. Like everybody let go fireworks, and they said, "Nah, we gonna get it done. We gonna get it done." And it's weird because even in Florida, they said the same thing. They said, "Well, if you out there littering like that, like if you let a balloon go intentionally, like they locking your ass up for doing a service." They didn't say nothing about putting a little paper boat in the water and letting it sail. They said if you let a balloon go on purpose. So what we got to do is we got to all hold balloons and like bump into one another by accident, let the balloons go and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Play it all, play it. There's no three ways to do it right in this situation, but they're finding ways to show us that they mean business. But for the sake of the average everyday American, like God, we gotta find ways to protect ourselves. Because if the laws are starting to get dangerous like this, if you're in a country, because I'm telling you, this law is enforced in Louisiana. If you're in a country where get your dick chopped off if you talk to the wrong female has become a law, you need to really start thinking about who we socialize with. We might actually have to start dating the 50-year-old women just to be safe. If she's got 20 wrinkles in the face, then she's good. We might have to take the 35-year-old with the C-section, bullet wounds, and the tattoos across the chest because that one's safe. I'm telling y'all, might do better. Just hop on a plane to the Philippines, go to Japan, go to Vietnam, get married out there, get you some legal documents from Japan, fly back to America with your Japanese and your English translation documents, and then when they come telling you what you can and can't do, it's like, nah, man, I got papers. You just gotta tell your wife before she comes to America, hey, don't answer. Because they're not gonna let you live it down, man. They're not gonna let you live it down. Because apparently they're gonna put you on a registry and they're gonna cut your shit off. So it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. But I can understand like justice. But my question is like, if you're gonna do that, When are you gonna hold the parents responsible when they let their guns go wild with their children? Because I mean, if you're willing to hold a first person accountable, and you're willing to cut their dick off for making a bad choice, When are you going to put the parents in jail for the children's bad choice when the children walk out the house with the parent's gun and the parent didn't report the gun stolen? They know the gun ain't there, or they don't know because they don't care. Because, I mean, you tell me that 5 high school students know how to make grenades and rebuild assault rifles in the basement, and you ain't watching your damn children. As soon as they walk out of that house with all that shit, you going to jail. You going to jail for them. Because the parents is responsible for the children until the children are old enough to be responsible for themselves. Sip the tea on that one. But we don't talk about uniformly holding people accountable. We only talk about it subjectively. We only talk about it when it favors certain people. Because I know we don't have it on the show for today, but you know they already talking about how they didn't dismiss the man, all that stuff that he was accused of. They didn't dismiss the man because somebody said that the former President Trump, the documents in his case wasn't properly done by the right person who wasn't properly addressed and all this. So how you postpone the case long enough to make an excuse to throw the case out? They don't do that for people with good tans. If they be trying to see trial, they be trying to get you in arraignment to plead guilty, talking about, so just plead guilty now so we can move on to the next person. Or just say no contest, or just don't contest it. Just don't, and we'll go ahead and give you X, Y, and Z. Play it as fine and you go home. They be really trying to get the conviction out your ass. They got the public defenders like trying to talk you into saying, well, if all else fails, if you're willing to accept this, and they want you to agree with it before you would try anything else. And then they'll say, all right, we'll just fall back on probation. Then when you agree to the shit, Your Honor, we going on probation. What? Nah, fuck you. You're supposed to be trying to make sure I didn't do it first. But not everybody can have a Cochran. And even Cochran's son can only represent so many people at one time. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So yeah, I wanted to touch base with you guys because I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was messed up too. I thought it was more messed up than I thought it was hilarious. And the reason why I thought it was more messed up than hilarious because I can't believe that somebody would go through the, oh, hey, what's going on, Red Void? Billy Emma and I'm trying to figure out. So I know you're just diving in. I was just talking. I mean, my Wi-Fi is a little bit. I got the new modem replaced, but for some reason, it still got a little bit of lag on it. But it did show almost 300 gigs, so I don't know. The other one was pushing more power, was pushing twice as much, but the system kept shutting itself off, so I don't know. But I was talking today about how, okay, so the state of Louisiana in the United States, the local government passed a law to castrate the convicts who performed sexual assault on people or was accused of, convicted of, and potentially took a plea on sexual assault. So they're saying that after the people do their sentence, they're going to cut their balls off. I'm like, really? Really? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do it to the women too. First of all, uniformly speaking, the women are going to face and say, how many women go to jail for that? Not that many, but you're saying that, oh yeah, you're going to castrate a woman. They on their feelings. You should make them mandatorily single for the rest of their life. Like tattoo something on their forehead so that don't nobody be allowed to date them or something like that. Because you're sitting over here like, oh, we're going to castrate her. Women don't want children these days already. You doing her a favor by giving her a hysterectomy. You ain't really hurting her by doing that. So I'm trying to figure out, what was you thinking when you said, oh yeah, the women can catch the charge too? Like, what? That literally is a man exclusive sentence. When you start talking about castration, you're not talking about, like, it's not like you're lopping off a titty. So it would have been more impactful on a universal scale if you were saying that you're going to castrate the men and cut the breast off of the women. You probably would have had more going there. You probably would have had more going. But you're telling me that a man can get his junk chopped off yeah, you're gonna give the girl a hysterectomy, but the man's gonna get his junk chopped off. So he's not even a man anymore. He would be one of those LGBTQ plus people then, because you're gonna cut him. He's gonna be one of the. He's not a he. He's not a she. He's just somewhere in between. He's like a they them right now, because you just shut off all of his. And some people are gonna say, well, that doesn't make him. I don't know what does. I really don't. Because like gender was identified by your either your Y chromosome or your two X chromosomes. So I mean, the fact that now like that's not the case, like you're either subjectively accepting the identity as male or you have male genitalia. But for some reason, if you're getting your manhood, it's already bad enough shame. Now you're telling me that you can get your junk chopped off on principle. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. You can get your junk chopped off on principle. I don't even know what they were thinking when they started doing this shit. Like they like, nah. But it's reckless. It's reckless because I've been sitting over here trying to figure out for the life of me, because I told Miss Pibbs, like, yeah, I'm gonna run that show, even if that's the only thing we talk about. That I'm gonna run that show. And I was sitting back and I was trying to figure out to myself, like, what you accomplishing with that? And then you know one of the things that really got me, because I'm not even really giving a damn about the people, but I'm thinking about like, how are you going to carry that out? Because right now with the death penalty, like there's an audience. So somebody's like I think 10, 20 people watch it happen so that they can confirm that it actually happened. Right? So if they're carrying out the sentence the same way, are they gonna all like you're gonna have like 30 people in the operating room watching this one dude hold the dude shaft up and then the other dude come in with a meat cleaver and just cut the rest of it off? Like, really? Like, how do you even carry out that sentence? And then how much time do we have to appeal? Because I mean, as soon as you cut that off, that you're not gonna be able to sew it back on. You know, you can't undo that particular type of sentence. Like I was talking earlier in the show, you can't undo that particular type of sentence. So if they're castrating you for that type, they're castrating you based on a quantity of errored ways. Like that should be like a punishment that happens after a certain tier of fucked up behavior, and then you can say, yeah, let's just castrate that guy. But just to say like everybody on the registry is going to get this shit, when some people got there on a misunderstanding, and I mean like a legitimate misunderstanding, not a misunderstanding with the police officer who caught you red-handed. I mean like a deliberate like misunderstanding kind of situation. Because did you know, and the reason why I say this is because did you know that if you are a 16-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl sends you inappropriate pictures of herself because you're her boyfriend or she wants you to potentially hook up with her in some way, shape, or form, you having a 16-year-old girl's inappropriate photos on your device can put you on the registry, even though you're 16, because it's considered child pornography. So this is one of the reasons why I say, like, this type of charge should be subjective and exclusive to specific situations. Like, so yeah, you want to put that out there for the ones that like pounced on them in the playground and they came up missing for 4 days and then you found them tied up in the basement. Yeah, those are the ones you should be doing that for. But if you're reviewing the case file and it's like he was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong age and it wasn't intentional, like let him do a lighter sentence than having his nuts chopped off. Because when you say everybody's gonna get it, bro, like even the people that don't even deserve to go through this, but they're going through this because that's what the law say. Like you gotta find another way, bro. That's a little extreme. That's hard boiled eggs extreme. I'm like, Jesus Christ, y'all got no hope. But yeah. They're not passing any laws. It's going to make it a little bit more effective for us to defend ourselves against law enforcement. But you can file a complaint and then they can execute a complaint. You might be able to observe them being walked out of the building, but you're not going to get your shit back unless you know where the shit's located at. So if he's got lots in his apartment and they seize those numbers, and you can find out where his shit's at. But outside of that, you're just like, so back to this whole castration situation. Like, what do you guys feel about that? Do you guys really, are you guys like for that? Or are you guys like, yeah, let's just castrate these people and hold them accountable? And then, because I asked these questions with Mr. Pitts before, when I said, you know, when is it too much? Because when me and Mr. Pitts was talking about the ethics story, ethics over uniformity, we were talking about how people do not have expectations that are uniform, and because their expectations are subjective to them and the scenario that they're in, you come to find that people are in a situation where they're not making the right decisions. And and those of you that are just walking in, if y'all want to be on the show, you can click the link and then approve the mic, approve the camera, brings you onto the show live. I'll see you in the green room. Make sure that you're 18, because you know even YouTube says you got to be over the age of 18. So for those of you that are out there playing around and trying to get on that registry, you got to understand that that's not the way to go. But for the rest of you, you know, chime in and then let me know what you think and how you feel about the situation, because it does play a huge role in affecting how we interact with one another. Because if guys are afraid to go to jail and get the junk chopped off, are they going to be really flirt with girls on the sidelines and be like, oh, hey, my name is Bobby Brown, so that I can get Bobby Brown in the back room? Like, nah, that's not. We're not trying to make those kind of sacrifices. Because I mean, we already make sacrifices. You get the house and the car and the dogs, and I got to pay you alimony and child support. We already got it divided in fucked up ways. We don't need to divide it any further. But question though, do y'all think that castration is the right way to go for people who are on the registry? And if you do think that that is the right way to go, uniformly speaking, like what kind of punishment fits the crime? Because apparently jail time isn't enough these days, since they're getting like gourmet dinners in isolation. So it is the craziest thing that I've heard. But we got some other lineups coming up for the next couple of weeks, because like, yeah, it's I'm going to try to cover the Trump story a little bit more, but you know, we have a country that is about to be turned upside down in a few weeks, in a few months, and we're not even prepared for it. So it's kind of hard for me to say, well, how do we get to the bottom of this scenario without doing a statistical analysis? So today I wanted to cover that because I thought that it was outrageous. I thought that it was like one of the most hilarious things that I've heard as far as extreme losses that has happened recently. But I had to hypothesize for like 45 minutes on that one little topic there, like what on earth? And then if you're going down for it, like you really got to make sure that you're going down for legitimate shit. So you can't be tapping adolescents. You can't be over there like messing with those that are, if they're more than a certain height shorter than you, you're going to really be checking those ID cards, because you don't want them to be misperceived that's young in your favor, because that's going to get you into a world of trouble. Just the same, you know, they thought that she wasn't old enough, you'll be in just as much trouble as if she was actually not old enough. And then when they come to find out that she was old enough, they might tell you, or they might tell you, I'm sorry. And then again, they might not. They might just ruin your reputation, and then they just let you go on your own cognizance and let you figure it out. Because if you figure it out, you got to pay for it. But if they do it, it's done. So I think I've kind of exhausted all the ideas and concepts that I had going on with that particular portion of topics. You know, I know that you guys got a lot of things to do with back to school coming into action. You know, I want you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe. I want y'all to join the membership. We got a lot more wild topics coming up. And this one here it was one of the beginning ones. So I'm always throwing up something dark. I'm always throwing up something unethical. Well, it's not unethical, but it challenges ethics, because uniformly, as long as you're doing it the same way, no matter who you are, as long as you're in that situation and it's happening the same way, that you should always receive the same outcome. When you start changing random variables and start doing hypothetical specifics, that's when you stop being uniform. And when you stop being uniform, it stops making sense, or at least it stops making sense to me. And then I got to make it make sense. So, I strongly recommend that you guys take a look, take a peek at the upcoming videos that we got going on the YouTube channel. Make sure that you like and subscribe while you're over there. Make sure that you join a membership while you're over there. You can hit the like button over here on TikTok and boost up the ability to get that stream key, because that would help us with our streaming. And just remember, we're live 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. So since I have exhausted the hypotheticals in line with this particular type of charge, I feel like I should go ahead and let you guys wrap it up, and we'll tiptoe up out of here today. And tomorrow we will be dealing with relationship topics, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. And then we're going to have our strange questions and answers from the fans on Sunday. So keep an eye out for all of those, because I know you're going to be seeing them coming up soon, because everything's being made available up until I think about the 15th. So, and it's a rolling calendar, but the last 14 days I got a house sitter that's able to take care of it. So go ahead. So that's all I have for you guys for tonight. I'm going to start with TikTok. We're going to go ahead and sign out. Even though we signed into YouTube first, we're going to sign out of TikTok first. TikTok, ladies, I'm going to ask you guys, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, make sure that y'all go ahead and make it make sense. So, ladies, make it make sense. And for the rest of you guys that's following us on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, I want you guys to stay strong. I really appreciate y'all showing us the support and following the podcast. You guys make what we are. I really, really, really appreciate y'all for coming. It definitely shows us motivation to keep going, even when we're tired, even when we're burnt out, even when we're having complications. We're trying to get everything out there. You guys definitely give us the motivation to keep producing content for you, because I mean, if you weren't here watching us, we'd be sitting here talking to ourselves. So I strongly recommend that you guys keep coming, keep showing us love. We really appreciate y'all, and you're going to be learning a lot of stuff. If you would have been here yesterday, then you would have been talking to us about the different ways to invest. And if you would have been here the day before that, we were talking about better ways to get better jobs. And I didn't see any in Romania, but I did see some in India. So we were telling you guys about the kind of jobs that you could get in India and the United States on that podcast. Now that I think about it, I should try to do a follow-up show for other countries that have some similar incentives that will aid the workforce. But, y'all got to try to find time, take time, set the schedule on your alarm clock. That way, when it happens, you can just come straight down to the show, which, by the way, lets me let you know, because it just dawned on me that we have a podcast coming up soon that's going to be using your cell phone as a personal assistant. So just saying, they're off the wall hypotheticals, and I'll make a show out of it. Whenever you guys got a concept that you just want to address, you can always throw it into the comment section, put it into the community tab, and I'll come across it, and then I'll double check and make sure that it's already in one of our topics. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys again. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us first thing in the morning in Romania. Red Void, really appreciate you. And then the rest of you guys, thank you for joining this and that. I podcast or something really close to an hour podcast. I'm doing some spring cleaning on the podcast, so the shows have been slightly shorter than normal. But since I'm trying to regroup, we got to polish it up and have the algorithm look a little bit better so we can get more views. So I'm putting a little bit of effort into that. So double book. So that causes me to kind of tap out a little bit early, take me a nap, because I do got contracts to fill. Somebody got to pay for the podcast. Speaking of paying for the podcast, you guys also have the opportunity to send us super likes and super emojis and special things during the podcast. You can also do the same after the podcast, especially if you're watching the preview. trailer. So that's things to think about. Make sure that you show us love and appreciation for our ability to provide you with the entertainment as well as the knowledge and education that we've been able to provide you. So with that being said, that's all I have for y'all for today, and I'm going to see y'all tomorrow night. Thank you for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Mr. Pibbs, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So y'all have a good night.